Let's talk some articles here.
All right. Well, there were so many good things that happened this month. I have a long list. I'm sure you guys do.
Go ahead.
Girls do too. So I'm going to let you all start because I'll fill in. We have not much time left. Wait, no, we go to 12:30.
Yeah.
We have half an hour. So what do you got? Or who wants to start?
I had just a quick thing. So I think we pretty much saw the backlash to, I guess it's Michelle Wolf, the comedian.
Oh, yeah.
Who hosted the press, what is it, the Correspondents dinner?
The White House Correspondents dinner, yeah.
And so the biggest, what's interesting to me is there were a few jokes that were made about, like Chris Christie's weight, Mitch McConnell's, neck.
Yeah.
That were like direct attacks on what people look like. And yet the one she took the backlash for the most was the Sarah Huckabee Sanders comment, which had really nothing to do with Sarah Huckabee Sanders' looks.
Right.
I mean, it was really weird. It was just like her saying that the makeup was made of the burnt ground up lies.
Yes.
But she didn't insult her makeup. It wasn't like she said, Anne, her makeup looks really crappy. It was, she just noted that she does, a particular type of eye look. I forget what you call that. Like the
smoky eye.
Yes. Yeah. Where you make which is a look that is promoted by cosmetic companies and commercials.
Yeah.
So it's like, this is not a bad look. So it was really interesting to me that Sarah Huckabee Sanders, that joke kind of took a lot of heat. And the idea was, attacking women's looks. And in two instances during the week, there were conservative politicians that came forward, and I forget the first one, but I was just like, wow, really? And then the second one came out was, it wasn't a politician, it was Giuliani, an ex-politician, who's now an attorney, and he had said something about like, you can't go after Ivanka Trump. You can go after men because they're disposable, but you can't go after Ivanka because she's a fine woman, right? And that even that phrase, fine women, kind of freaked me out.
Yeah. Well, what I had heard was that we're not allowed to go after Ivanka because she's the president's daughter.
Right, that too. That was included, in his statement. And so I'm looking at this, and I heard one person during an analysis that was really great, and he said something about we wouldn't go after her because she's the president's daughter. We should look into her because of her major role in the White House and as the president's advisor. That would be why we would look into her if she had any reason for us to look into her. He goes, but what really shouldn't be happening is for the president to be hiding behind his daughter's skirts.
Yeah.
And I thought that was a great analysis of it, to like hold up Ivanka as this sort of human shield, right? Like she's a woman and you can't attack her. And I'm like, wow, how sexist is that? That is ridiculously sexist. It is so insulting. And I thought, well, how do you, it's always amazing to me when someone comes up with a way to phrase something that insults both men and women, right? Like this is equally insulting to men, and men are disposable and women are wilting, flowers who can't have to be protected from crap that comes with their jobs. Right?
Yeah.
So I'm like, no, I loved Wolf's comment that Ivanka was as useful to women as a box of empty tampons.
Yes.
I was like, that made me laugh.
Yeah.
But the thing that then got me was, as I'm looking at this, Kathy Griffin had come out and kind of voiced a little bit of support for Wolf, basically saying, yeah, I went through something similar, and, Wolf was even less controversial than what I did, and she's taking all this heat, and she really didn't even do what she's being accused of.
Right.
So all of the people who had gotten on to Wolf about her treatment of women and how disrespectful she was of women got onto the comment thread at one of these articles and posted some of the most vile, sexist, misogynistic crap I've ever seen, to the point that I posted on Facebook and I said, here's the article and here's some of the comments. And so I repeated some of the comments as, how vile is this? Well, apparently it's so vile that Facebook won't allow it, right? So I get a tag from Facebook saying, just a little warning, we're sure you didn't understand this, but violence against, gender and this sort of sexist slurs and blah, blah is not okay. Yeah. And I'm like, wow, that's really funny. I mean, I know that it's just an algorithm, so I wasn't like outraged or anything. I was like, I get why you did it, and it's probably a good thing that you're filtering for it. Ironic that I was trying to say this is vile, but what I did is I just reposted the article and told people I can't post the comments because they are that vile.
Yeah.
But please go and look at these comments because these are the people that respect women and that get offended when Michelle Wolf makes a joke about eye makeup being made from ground lies, and yet they will say this stuff that is just basically violent and hateful and completely sexist and misogynistic.
The Trump that bitch crowd is outraged that, you know, Sarah Sanders Huckabee got called out for her lies.
I'm fairly certain that those same folks were the ones who would say horrible things about Michelle Obama and the Obama daughters.
Well, and that's the thing that, you know, they're going back to this, you can't attack the president's kids or whatever. And it's like, okay, the most recent president's children were minors, you know, and there's a difference between kids who are private citizens who just happen to be, you know, the president's children.
Yeah, when you hire your kid into a cabinet position or a post position, or you hire her as an advisor, or you put her in there and you make her integral to the running of the executive office, it's no longer your kid. Right. She's got another role. She's wearing another hat here besides your daughter.
She's a government official, and the fact that she's related to the president is immaterial.
But what's weird is they have this weirdly distorted view of sexism. Right, that's what gets me. Is like they don't understand what sexism is, and so when they think they're calling out sexism, it's like this isn't sexism. That like reminds me, you don't get it.
Of something I wanted to bring up. It was about it was a story that came out about John Kelly, the White House chief of staff, that he censors his language. He won't use
that was the other one
profanity around women because
why the fuck not?
Yeah, really. God. Because somehow he thinks that this is respectful of women,
but the irony was they were defending him, right? So that was the White House defense of him. So he had said something initially. I can't remember what it was, and they were just like, no. If anything, he has more respect for women than normal people because he doesn't even like to swear around them. And I'm like, oh my, do they not? They don't understand what sexism is,
no, and that's why I was reading this and I thought. This reminds me of, again, a time when I was in the military, and I had my boss, who's a colonel, and he was known for being particularly foul-mouthed, okay? He dropped F-bombs here and there and, you know, all kinds of four-letter words, and it was all fine. And people were just appalled, and they're like, oh, that guy's he's going to get nailed for, you know, sexual harassment or something like that. I'm also like, where's the sexual harassment here? He's not directing it at someone in particular. You know, he's not sexually harassing me, certainly, or anybody else. He's just swearing a lot. And so finally, I actually had the IG come and ask me one day, and it's like, you know, when he says this, you know, does it bother you? And I just looked at him like, I don't give a fuck, you know? And the guy goes, oh, okay. And he walked away.
Yeah, I mean, what's interesting to me is when it comes to language, right? So first of all, I have no personal. I don't care. You know, it's like when it comes to swear, there's some things that I think are offensive, and so I don't use them. And I won't use them around anybody because it's my metric, right? That's my filter. I don't use a racist slur. I don't use a sexist slur. I will try to avoid slurs because I don't think that it's right to denigrate demographics because I have a problem with a particular person who, in a completely unrelated way, is attached to a demographic. It's like, to me, that is wrong. So I don't use a slur, and I won't use it to other people because of my own standard. But then I understand other people have standards, right? So like somebody's 80-year-old grandmother who isn't okay with swearing, and I know, like when I meet that person, I'm probably not going to swear. Now, if she starts swearing, I'm going to be like, God, grandma doesn't care, right? And so I get more relaxed, okay? But I tend to just sort of feel people out, make sure, you know, what are they comfortable with, what are they uncomfortable with. I still am not perfect. Like when I know somebody's not comfortable with swearing, I still will swear, but I try to temper it because I know I can really cut loose sometimes. And so there was, but one thing I posted on this was that there's only two people that I really know have vocalized to me, like, I just don't like the swearing. Both of them are men. I have never once had a woman say to me, you swear too much, or I'm not comfortable when you swear. And that includes friends of mine that are like 70-something-year-old women who do not care. Or if they do care, they don't cringe, they don't say anything, they act like they don't care, and they've never said anything about it. The only people that have ever said anything to me about being uncomfortable with it, men, two men. And yet, John Kelly won't swear in front of women.
Yeah.
It's not about women. It's about, is the other person comfortable with it? Are you making them uncomfortable with it? Because, you know, and especially if you have to work with them. You know, it's like if you've got employees and they're like got these weird religious restrictions and they're not cool with this, and it's like, you know, but I'm not swearing tons anyway at work because there's a professional line there for me where it's just like I tend to not swear at the office. You know what I mean?
So were the men who told you they were uncomfortable with it, were they uncomfortable with it across the board?
Yeah.
Or because it was you, a woman?
Now, I will say,
a woman.
uncomfortable with it, and one of them did express that they were more uncomfortable when they heard it from women. And this, again, is like this religious thing, right? This is the religious stuff. And somebody had pointed that out because I had said, like, both the guys that were uncomfortable with, both people I knew who were uncomfortable were men. And then somebody posted after me, and they were just like, oh, yeah, that's a religious thing where blah, 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 blah. And they said, and always the more Puritan woman is supposed to never, ever do it, right? Like, they're like, so even if they don't like the swearing, somehow it's always worse when the women do it because they're supposed to be these like arbiters of modesty and the Puritanism.
We're the civilizing force in society.
And I actually had one of the guys tell me that, you know, that he really didn't like to hear it from anybody, but especially women, it bothered him. Now, I don't mind somebody expressing to me that they're bothered by it, right? Because a lot of times it has to do with upbringing. It's not necessarily a choice that somebody feels uncomfortable about a thing. So I don't mind somebody bringing it up. Now, I do mind if they get all judgmental and try to justify it to me, right? It's like, I understand that you were raised a certain way and that this, you don't like to hear that. It makes you uncomfortable. And it doesn't matter that it's not really rational. It's like, I don't want to make people uncomfortable if I can avoid it. And just, you know, avoiding a few swears is not going to break my neck. So I'll try to make people around me comfortable. But at the same time, when somebody starts saying things like, people use swears because their vocabularies, it's like, oh, just stop right there. Okay, just stop right there. Because these are vocabulary words like anything else. And if you're going to say, you can't say, you know, oh, this is fucking really great, then you shouldn't be even saying really. You should just be saying this is great.
Right. Yeah, if you're going to go there. Right.